For you and I, all of us who have been part of the history in the making, and while Team ISRO has done the entire country proud, I also want to thank Prime Minister Modi for having unlocked the doors of Sriharikota and enabled the space sector to come up with ambitious missions like this. Because still a few years back we were constrained by our deficiency of resources, though we had the acumen and the human talent available in abundance, which is evident from the fact you must have seen the pictures of Sarabhai carrying the launcher vehicle on the carriage of his bicycle. But here, this time, in the last 8-9 years, more so in the last 4-5 years, after the Prime Minister took the decision to open up the space sector to public-private participations, there has been a huge supplementation of public and private resources, both knowledge-wise as well as funds-wise. And this has created an ecosystem which is now comparable to any other country in the world, rather more than many other countries. For example, which is also evident from the fact that even though some of these countries, rather 3 of them, had landed before us on the surface of Moon, it was we, incidentally the Chandrayaan series, which collected the pictures of water on the surface of Moon and brought the evidence of the presence of water on the surface of Moon. And now we are going to move to the next level. Chandrayaan-3 is going to be there on the south polar area, which is known for craters of a different kind. So, extension of the same discovery, the H2O molecules which were discovered in the Chandrayaan-1 mission could be further put to analysis, because now this area is the one which has a greater reservoir of water in different. So it'll give us greater freedom to experiment on that. Secondly, in situ experiments. So watching Moon from the Moon. So far we were possibly trying to experiment about Moon from Earth. So it will be a closer and maybe real-time experimentation, which would then take us to the next level. And let's not forget, the inputs that we receive from there, the inferences that we gather from there, the conclusions that we draw from there are going to benefit not only us, but even the premier agencies like NASA and the other countries. So in a way, as I said in my remarks during the launching, India has reaffirmed its leading role as a global player in the years to come.
So now Gaganyaan?
Gaganyaan got delayed, of course, we have to admit, because of COVID. We had very ambitious plan to launch it around the 75th anniversary of India's independence. We couldn't do it. Our astronauts were undergoing training at the Gregory Center in Russia. They had to come back. But now again we have started moving the track. So now we will have 2 preliminary flights before actually a human being flies, because the safe landing and return is equally important and equal concern for all of us. So the first flight would be maybe towards the end of this year, which will be totally unmanned. The second one would not have a living being, but would have a female robo called Vayomitra. So learning from the success of, sorry?
Name? Do you have a name for
Vayomitra.
Vayomitra
would be the name of the female robo astronaut who would be flying. So after she comes back, simulating a human being, then we would send up. We will have the confidence also enough a human being in place.
Any plan for increasing the budget of ISRO?
So I think to an extent it's being progressively increased every year, but at the same time we should also appreciate the fact that the funding is no longer now confined only to the budgetary allocations. We have huge lot of private participation also happening. We have more than 140 startups who have got engaged only in the last 2-3 years. And they are contributing not only knowledge-wise, also financially. And more so, I think the next generation talent is also being introduced through these startups.
So now there are
so many new things coming up. Privatization is coming up. So what is the goals for space research for India in this Amrit Kaal?
I think India has already taken a lead. And as is being forecast that India is going to reach a pedestal in the years to come during this Amrit Kaal, I think that ascent to that pedestal has already begun via space. So space is the earliest marker of that.
Any plans about space tourism involving ISRO, sir? Because it seems to be something catching up in the world now.
I think it's too early to talk about that, but we are now almost at an equal level of collaboration. The very fact that during Prime Minister's recent visit to the US, one of the understandings that I had was that Americans would solicit an Indian astronaut to travel up to the International Space Station, which in fact is an indication of the value they accord to our talent and our personnel.
Sir, August 25 PM will come here, sir.
Let's work out that.
Mr. Singh.
ABP गंगा, खबर आपकी, जुबान आपकी।